So, I'm going to welcome to stage both Erik Olofsson and the Dragonlord himself, Ed Beard Jr. Okay, we have multiple things coming in the future, but what's happening next with Sorcery is that we're going to launch the Dragonlord set. This for us is something that we've just loved to do, something a little bit different, and we're very, very privileged to work with an artist who means a lot to Erik and certainly me and the rest of the team as well, and I know to many of you folks. I know a lot of you have been patrons of Ed for a number of months now, watching the progress of these art pieces, but we're getting there, guys. We're getting pretty close. So, I'm going to welcome to stage both Erik Olofsson and the Dragonlord himself, Ed Beard Jr. Okay, Ed, we're going to share a microphone. So, the Dragonlord is your vision.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
Tell us more.
All right, so about 2005, I had wanted to create a world of my own. Kind of this idea that came into my head about a creator, the very beginning, like that first god, if you will. And all the elements in the universe would kind of converge to create this physical, corporeal being. And of course, it would need things to keep itself like companions and also something to document its history. So I started creating this, and then I got kind of interrupted a little bit, sidetracked. In about 2010, I was commissioned by PPG Paints to do a van, a full automotive airbrush van, which I had been doing automotive airbrushing since the 70s. So we created the Dragonlord van, which was basically some elements of the storyline that I did, and then this kind of concept of how the Dragonlord merges with Earth. And so that was the first incarnation publicly. I had done some paintings, but not a lot. But I had the written story, and I thought maybe someday I'll actually produce a book on it. And then before you know it, I get this email from the maestro himself. And that was what started this whole project between Erik and I. And he, should I tell him about how it all started?
Yes. Ed's going to tell you a little bit more about Erik, so here we go.
Okay. So I got this email from Erik inquiring about having served my illustration work on this game. I didn't know much about it at the time. I kind of vaguely heard about it. I had been out of the game industry since 2005 for the most part. Erik and I talked. He had mentioned that he was a fan of my work in the early days, and I was just like, okay, what are you saying? Yes, it's 100% hand painted. We're doing old school. Everything we do is tangible medium. And I just right then and there went, this is not happening. This is have I just gone back in time, 1993 all over again? You know? And I had art directed for some games. You guys may know Z-Man games, Shadow Fist, and some of those stuff. So I had art directed for several of those projects, and I remember the last time we did anything that was 100% hand painted in the set, I think it pretty much fell off by 96, 97. We started seeing digital art coming in. And by 99, 2000, 2001, everything was pretty much all digital, and certainly beyond that. So when Erik said to me, no, we want hand painted, I loved the eclectic styles, the unique look that tangible medium does, especially with different artists using everything from watercolor and oils and so forth. It makes the set so much nicer. And so I just went, oh my God. I didn't think I thought for sure I was done. You know, there was no way I'm gonna old school hand painted ever have another opportunity in gaming. So honestly, I actually reached out to my friend Melissa Benson after my conversation with Erik, and I said, you worked on this, I saw this, because I'm researching it, like, what is this? And she says, yeah, and it was a good experience. And I'm like, this is for real? This is gonna actually make it? Oh no, it already happened. And so that's when she turned me on to the Kickstarter, and I said, holy moly, this really happened. And so it's just from that point, you know, we talked about, you know, Erik asked me, he says, what do you have that's dragon related? Because I'd love to have you featured in something dragon. And I said, well, I said, actually, I created this storyline of the Dragonlord. It's this whole world. And it's based upon elements and how he works with elements to create, and merges those with these physical beings, mainly creatures, and as they develop every type of creature, but certainly a lot of dragons. And he said, well, you know, our game plays with elemental aspects. And I went, oh my God, this is gonna be cool. And so as we did the project, you know, it's just such synergy. And Erik is great at being able to take an image or a concept of something and going, if this can be done this way, this will work for our game. And I'm like, that is exactly what my storyline is. So the characters and their backgrounds and their storylines really aligned perfectly with the sorcery play and whatnot. So, yeah.
Wonderful. We're good, guys? Is that everything? Would you like to see some more about the Dragonlord set? Do you want to share a bit more, Erik?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so here is the Dragonlord. We will share this afterwards. I don't everyone have to rush to the front, but you can see the Dragonlord is an avatar. Erik, would you like to talk a little bit about the design aspects of the Dragonlord?
So with the Dragonlord, we had an amazing opportunity to go back in history and also do various throwbacks to, well, something similar to, well, your avatar commands and, well, commander, which is quite a, well, it's a teenage dream of mine to work with Ed and to do this. And of course, with the Dragonlord, he commands dragons. So with the effect, it's all about building a dragon deck and using the dragon abilities to your advantage.
Okay, so the Dragonlords in isolation is not really what this is about, because there's quite a lot of card support here. Just to cover some of the basics where everyone else has asked, so it's a 13-card mini set, each featuring a hand-painted card by Ed. This is all of Ed's dream, and basically this is the manifestation of what's in his head, not just on the art side, but on the story side. It is a flavor explosion. And finally, it's going to be released next year. We're not going to put dates on it because I think some people might know how reliable we are. So we don't want to set expectations. I'm like 11-person team, remember? Okay, so give us a break, but we'll get there. And when it's ready, we'll be sure to let you know. Right, in addition to this, we're going to show off a little bit more. Actually, Ed, do you want to come back on stage and talk a little bit more about what you've actually managed to do here? You can see some work in progress of another 2 pieces. I think we'll even let you show the names of these and tell us a little bit about the artistic process for these 2.
Okay, sure. Okay, great. All right, so guys, on the left is Kairos the Archivist. So I mentioned earlier about the Dragonlord was a manifestation of all the elements, basically the first god, if you will, in his universe. And so among those elements was the aspect of time. And time really wanted to be in the physical form, to experience what life was. And the Dragonlord needed someone to document everything that was being made in this time period, everything that he manifests, every creature he created. So in this picture, you see the Archivist, the Dragonlord, Kairos. However, you're seeing him millions of years after the Dragonlord came into existence. So there's been all kinds of experiments and things that have been produced. And inevitably, he's so old, his physical body's starting to die. So it's being replaced by what you see, kind of steampunk aspect. But in the background, there are literally over 80 hidden artifacts and things. They're actually written in old Celtic runes, as well as Norse. And they represent everything from astrology, astronomy, and there's actually a cipher for it. So it's going to be stuff that I'll release later on with the art prints and stuff. So beyond just the artwork telling the story on the face, there's a whole bunch of hidden things, including a little guy in the background here that lives behind the bookshelves. He's a little book troll and he's stealing a bedtime storybook. So it's a lot of fun doing that. It's like a big I Spy for big kids. The piece on the right is me working on the Dragonlord's castle. And yes, I did do all of these paintings live. 100% of the paintings that I did was recorded. So on my Patreon, and later on when we get the set out, we'll release that.
Absolutely, and Ed has also got some prints as well, so if you're curious maybe to take a piece home and put it on your wall, then he has some available after the show. Thank you very much, Ed. Want to see a little bit more? Okay, so first up we have the Dragon's Egg. Erik, tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so you can't have a dragon set without ways to cheat dragons into play faster. And with this card too, well, it has a lot of story elements to it, but one of the things we have to do as designers is to just take an incredible story as Ed and then condense it down to only a few sentences. But this set has also been an almost perfect example of top-down design, where we start out with the artwork and just cool names, and then we figure out the rules afterwards, which is a very enjoyable way to work.
Yes, I must say, this has taken a while because we want to get this type of stuff right, and this is what we insist on with Sorcery. We want to make sure that the products we produce are great for 10, 20 years in the future as well. So thank you for your patience. But we're going to show you one other thing as well. Something which is a little bit of a callback to a previous card that we've done before. The Fire Dragon.
Oh yeah, so one of the elements of getting these add story into the game is to marry it with the element system, and this example here is one of the few that's an existing art piece, and it's, I don't know, it looks perfectly like it's made for Sorcery though, where it's super iconic, it has only 3 lines of text, and it's very powerful, especially if you can cheat it into game early with the Dragon's Egg.
And these cards work throughout our whole product portfolio as well. We really want people to inhabit the Dragonlord and use it alongside in both casual formats and maybe even playing in store as well. So we really encourage people to do this. So we are delighted to work with Ed Beard Jr. on this. Again, we don't have a release date yet, but we're working very hard on it. So big thank you to Erik and the team for actually producing this. We can't wait for you guys to get it in hand. Okay, at this juncture, we will throw ourselves open to questions. And so if people would like to come to the front and ask any question they want, we will happily give you an answer. For people who give us a really nice question, they actually get a little prize. They get the foil basic size from Draft Kit. So if people want to come up and ask a question, please do.
Right. Can I get, here we go.
Hello, testing. Okay.
Alright, so it sounds like we are going to be going with an existing story. Does that mean that Sorcery itself is going to be having a story going forward, continued through multiple sets?
I'm leaving doors open, but I would say that Dragonlord is very much contained to its own thing, and that I'm a huge fan of the more open-ended type of storytelling, where we provide basically puzzle pieces and let people create their own stories. And that will always be the kind of mainstay of Sorcery. So what you have played now with Arthurian Legends, I see almost as the kind of, it's kind of an experiment in going towards story and lore, and then we will probably go back more to a more default type of classic fantasy and more open-ended things, at least for the next foreseeable future.
Nicely scoped, thank you. Okay, next question.
Testing. So I'm maybe slightly embarrassed at how much thought I've personally given this, but how will the Dragonlord set be distributed?
Good question. We have multiple different options, and with this type of product, it's not something that can maybe sit on store shelves without additional product support, if you see what I mean. That people would want to do this. In itself, it doesn't have a purpose, so we need to position it with other things. We have a whole variety of different relationships, and we really want to get it out there widely as possible. But this is not sort of like a highly available set. This is not an entry point into Sorcery. So we're considering options at the moment. We're in active dialogue, but we want to make sure it's very easy for people to get hold of. So we're working with multiple different partners to ensure we can do that.
Hello? Okay. How much farther do you think you guys are going to introduce the dragons into Sorcery?
So there's a thing with dragons where they aren't that special if you do it too much. So I would say that this Dragonlord set puts quite a cooldown on a lot of additional dragons, I would say.
So how many questions am I allowed to ask?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 1 minute. How many questions can you get in?
One?
1 minute. How many questions can you go?
So why only 13 cards? Like, why? That's not
Because the set itself is very thematic, and it works well with like a limited number of cards. Also, we can only get Ed to work so hard for us. If we could find more of Ed, we would probably have more cards, to be honest. But we want to try new things out as well as a company. Let's see how this works. The set itself is very self-supporting. It's going to be a very cool narrative experience, but also it's going to have multiple different sort of play areas in there as well. So it's going to be an exciting complement to the game that you play today.
So how are the packs things gonna be?
Again, we're not quite sure. I think what we'd like to be able to do is that people can get hold of all the cards in one purchase, and as a result of that, then they can enjoy that, take it to the store and play with friends. So it probably is going to be like a single product, which will be the Dragonlord set that will be out there.
So this is something I'm just personally curious about. Like cards in beta, such as Great Old One and it's basically Hounds of Turbolos reference. Is there ever going to be like a Cthulhu-esque set?
Well, I'm a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft.
I think sometimes.
So I got a question. So I know Ed talked about the lore being really important in the set. Is that going to be released once the actual set is out?
So we haven't.
Champion emerges.
Yeah.
The Dragonlord.
Yes, I can answer that. So, ironically, again, this is a storyline I wrote back in 2005, and so the whole format was supposed to go into a book years ago, actually, and I just never got around to it. But now I have all the reasons in the world to produce it. So I have an art book coming out next year, which is going to have that storyline and all of the explanations of what the cards' histories are, specific to the ones that I published. So you're going to know everything about at least the background history between what I've created, and then you'll be able to see that synergy with what they've done.
I just want to thank you because this game has kind of brought a lot of nostalgia back from when I was like a young kid, and I've met so many cool people, and this is such a cool community to be a part of. And I just wanted to ask Eric what it's like for you to have undergone this huge endeavor to create this game, to literally go from nothing to something, and to be in Vegas now with all these people here. What's this experience like for you to see how far your work has come?
Well, it's very, very heartwarming, and it's amazing to see. So, yeah, it's fair to say it's exceeded my kind of wildest expectations, because this started out as an art project, and then it turned into a game, and then it became a game that was even better, that sort of had its own identity, and then it attracted all these very highly talented people that are amazing at spreading the word. So, well, thank you for coming and spreading the game.
Yeah, thank you for making a game that's art focused. You know, that's really like really high up there for me. And one question I have is, I know you want to keep it open ending, but in the future, how far do you think you would ever go into like science fiction-ish, science fantasy?
Well, I don't want to close any doors, but I can't really reveal any details here, but I can say that the company name, Erik's Curiosa, was chosen for being a company that's able to create various cool things, so which may or may not. Yeah.
So you might actually hate my question. As the game grows and players begin to, continue to join the ranks,
and the game gets more popular, is there going to be any plan from the company itself to have tournaments that are based from the company and not by the players, i.e. like maybe something like a Pro Tour, where there's actual real prizes, real prestige?
I would say, yeah, exactly. These are real prizes and the real prestige. No, but to your point, I think we have to be very nuanced about how we approach this, because this is the community's game. Now, a lot of people look to us for leadership. They look to see, well, okay, well, what do the company say? Because consistency is so important in all of these types of endeavors. People really want to make sure if they're attending some kind of competitive event, there's adequate prize support, there's scoped rules, they know what they're getting into. Now, our vision is to be able to continue to support events like Sorcery Con, March of the Mortals, all these other events, the Baltimore event as well. This is really what we want to be able to do. And those events will basically exist in our ecosystem. So we're providing the prize support, help to actually make sure that these can continue to be viable for people as well. And that way, the players get the whole expanse, the whole variety of different feelings of going to these different events with that consistency built in. At our sort of core, we are a kitchen table game, but we do acknowledge the fact that people like to play excellently, they like to master the game, they like to play at their level, at a competitive level as well. So we are going to be doing more next year to accommodate people. No, next.
So actually I have two questions real quick.
Go on.
So Ed Beard was obviously lucky enough for us to have his own dragon set, which is amazing. Are future mini sets going to be specific to one particular artist doing that full set, or will we see multiple artists contributing to mini sets in the future?
Well, basically we don't know. We're experimenting, seeing how this goes. It depends on if really cool opportunities arise like this. So I'd like to keep things flexible, and it's more about doing cool things that aren't being done otherwise, rather than sort of setting up a specific schedule. So just open to whatever sort of presents itself in that department.
And my other question, are we ever going to see a realm meter printed?
The real meter, you mean?
Realm meter, future curio.
Yeah, there might be multiple versions of that card if it's
Hello. First and foremost, thank you for creating this and everything that's here. I appreciate this. I appreciate the community, and I've been having fun playing this as I'm pretty new, relevantly new, 4 months in maybe. I've been having the time of my life playing this game, and the community is amazing. I just wanted to say that I'm a really big fan of Jihad and Crusade. We do not have a water or air version. I was wondering if we're gonna get something in the future, let's say Olympus, Atlantis, I'm not sure, something crazy like that. Is that plans? Do we have plans for something like that?
I'll think about that.
Yeah. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'll be on a very long flight soon back to New Zealand, and during those, the brain is churning, so maybe something comes up.
Thanks for making this game, Eric. Are there any artists you're currently stalking? You haven't commissioned yet.
Yes, there's a few that I'd really like to see in the game.
And I will say as well that we do hear your feedback. A lot of you guys kind of make recommendations and things like that, and it's things that we talk about all the time as well. We have to add artists to the sort of sorcery artist family in a fairly measured way, and we want to make sure there's a level of consistency there, but also we want to encourage new talent. But with one set a year, maybe a little bit slower than people would like, but we're always on the lookout for new artists. We get a ton of submissions, we get people kind of wanting feedback on their work. We're happy to do it. Sometimes it takes a little while to get back to folks, but in the future, yeah, there's certainly some names that we've spoken about that we kind of really want to hunt down, and some of those are a little bit challenging, but we'll do the best for you guys to get them involved.
All right, my question is more along the lines of trying to bring new stores in, like local stores. I have like one store kind of close to me that they're on the Play network, but they haven't really been able to do anything due to lack of product for the most part. Is there any way I could set up like a huge seal type thing where people just join in
Yeah.
and try the game to help spread awareness?
No, yeah, this is exactly what we're going to try and do next year. Our content strategy is to basically have like a getting started guide, both for players and stores. Honestly, we do a pretty piss poor job at guiding people to the Play Network. We're going to fix that as well. There's going to be a lot of video content that shows you how to do that. This is going to be well supported by actually having a store kit that goes to stores to activate new stores as well, with discrete product that can be used to get players playing. Once that starts, then we can start accelerating potentially product availability to a degree, but we have to be quite measured in that regard as well. We know there's hundreds and hundreds of stores, both in North America and worldwide, that really want to enjoy sorcery, but we have to onboard them and activate them in a way that's comfortable for them. With one set a year, this is a bit of a paradigm shift for them as well. This isn't the reliable money maker that they have where they can just basically have sets after set after set coming out. This is maybe more of like an experiential or an event that happens. Once we can tutor them on exactly how sorcery feels, they can start cultivating those communities with your help.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
I just saw you were giving out promos, so I can't. I know. I recently heard that, Eric, you were in charge of 100% of the art direction for everything A to Z, and I think that's unbelievable that all of us are continuously impressed by the art direction that you take as this keeps on going, and at some point you'll have to take care of your kids. Are you planning on delegating that art direction? Do you want to be always in charge of this as long as you see yourself being a part of the game? Or are you going to eventually, let other people in the company, alongside with you, commission other pieces of art and share their images and the way they want to develop sorcery, of course, with you directing that?
Well, I will try to delegate some of it, but it will be, I suspect it will take a long time, and it requires finding the perfect person for it, and sort of over time making them sort of aligned with the project. And there's also things that can be helped, can be sort of taken off my plate to let me do more of the sort of fun part of art directing, dealing less with contracts and more with actual art and game design. But it's part of the company growing. It's not easy. It's not something you can hire for right away. You need someone that really understands the game. So.
Okay. We're going to scope the questions to probably about, say, let's do like 7 more. So apologies to people at the back. We'll see if we can still get you. So there's a snapshot here. We'll make sure that everyone hopefully gets one of these packs, but we'll take 7 more questions because I know we're in Vegas and we want to have a good time, right? So, okay, let's go.
Sorry, if I can just give a compliment, is that artistically how you've brought so many people together and also created an incredible game around it. We're so impressed. Genuinely, it's incredible. So.
Oh, thank you very much. It's all the artists, really.
Hey there. I love this game so far. Big fan. I really like that there's not a ton of instance and a lot of maybe deterrence on when I'm playing. I get to really play my turn. I guess my question is, Candlemass Monks is just so I don't know what the word is, just so deflating to play, and you don't even play. I guess my question is there going to be a ban list ever? Is there ever going to be something along? Maybe that's been answered already. But Candlemass Monks it hurts, and I want to play the game. You know what I mean? But.
Well, I can say as a general design philosophy, we try to design counterplay to any strategy, and the pipeline can take quite a long time to sort of get the proper tools into place for handling certain strategies. But well, we will see. I'm not sure what the best decks will be, because one thing with sorcery that happens is that we see one deck win tournaments and then we get a bit worried that maybe that one is too good, and then we try to design some card against that, and then the next month some other deck becomes the best deck, and then yeah, so it's hard to keep up. So hopefully there will be sort of answers to it, even some with Arthurian legends. But yeah, we're keeping a close eye on it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I'm sorry if this is a bit out of left field for like, it's not like related to physical play necessarily, but as I'm actually kind of lucky to be here right now, it almost didn't happen at all. So like for funds and time and whatnot with the family and whatnot. So if is an actual like fully produced digital concept of sorcery something that you can play on your computer? Is that even on like the radar or maybe on a drawing board somewhere as something that might be created eventually?
So an unfortunate thing here, in a way, is that I come from the computer game industry, so I know how hard and how much effort it takes to make a really high quality digital client. So it's something we're thinking a bit about, and it's something that we sort of slowly plan ahead for. But we have a lot of work to do with the paper game first, so it's not really something that will happen tomorrow or next year. But when it happens, or if it happens, it would also have to have a incredibly high sort of quality threshold to it as well. So that's one of the things that, like, we wouldn't release something quick and bad, so to speak. Prefer to explore cards in that area. With that said, we can do a very, very limited amount of them. Like, we're talking like 1% or so, and even those cards would not quite be like instants in other games, but more that they can be played at specific moments where you would take an action anyway. For example, when you're blocking your opponent's minion, you have a choice to make anyway, so it's not like you're interrupting your opponent really. Yeah. So yeah, and that's all done, of course, so that to simplify and make games kind of faster and easier.
Just based on how much thought that you put into what's currently made so far, how far would you say ahead that you guys are thinking as far as content goes? Like that you have solidly locked down, how many years of content would you say you have to go?
So we were actually discussing this on a dinner the other day, and I counted the kind of future sets in my head that have what I think is solid plans or like really good themes and ideas, and it was up to set 7, I think it was. And one thing, this almost leads into the last question with the square grid and all the design possibilities there. Like, there's just so much you can do in this game. I don't think we will ever run out of ideas.
Issue board question. One of the games that was near and dear to me and my friends growing up was the World of Warcraft trading card game. And one of the things that we used to be able to do was sit around a table where 5 of us could go against a boss environment. Is there such a thing in this world of Erik's Curiosa and Sorcery where you can have 5 of your friends sit around a table? I know it might be difficult in a grid structure, but where you fight one massive power or build up to a climax battle.
So I can say that the sorcery system or engine actually, in a way, should lend itself quite well to a sort of RPG type situation where you do that kind of thing. But I should also say that it's not something we're actively looking at. I think it's something that might be easier to explore when the card pool is a lot bigger, because then there's more to play around with. But it's also something that I see as something, like, I would encourage people to kind of play around with it, almost like try to make a sorcery mod, so to speak. So, yeah.
Hi. It seems to me like the game was intended to have a sideboard, but for the length of the time, it's just not practical. Have you considered any other options, like maybe having a sideboard and then you sideboard after the reveal of the avatar?
We have discussed a lot of those ideas, and we have Well, we're testing some things currently, actually, that are sort of related, but otherwise, I have to say that I'm quite pleasantly surprised by how well Sorcery works as a one, I guess, best out of one. Because it's kind of unintuitive that it would work, but then we still see in tournaments that the top players, or the players winning, they just happen to be extremely good players all the time. So it might be, yeah, I'm not sure it's exactly needed, but we're also exploring card designs that allow a little bit more flexibility when it comes to that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Okay, Chase, how many more have we got?
It's the last one.
2 more, okay, let's do it.
So I have a very specific question on mechanics. So projectiles are a big part of Sorcery. You got the rolling boulder, you got Put Butcher, grapple shot. Is there a way that we can possibly curve projectiles? For example, like maybe a future site that says projectiles then through the top border of the site and exit through the left or right side.
This reminds me of a card that our newest designer edition, Kevin, designed that reflects projectiles and changes the direction. But yeah, there's ball lightning, chain lightning. Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities there. There's a lot of stuff to explore. So I'm sure you will see a lot more of that.
Will Las Vegas be an annual event?
That's a good question. It's down to you guys and down to the host of Sorcery Con. We really hope so. It's been an absolutely amazing venue. To Park MGM and all the staff here that have made this so nice for us as well. So, like I said, we couldn't ask for anything better. It's an incredible scale, and I know you guys have had a good time. We're going to wrap it up now, but to thank you very much for your patience, maybe we share just one final image with you. Thank you very much.